Today, Doug Flynn joins us to talk a little bit more about all the business news. Certified financial planner, co-founder at Flynn Capital Management. I'll bring my handy telestrator up here just to show you a little economic data. We've been talking a lot about inflation, Doug, right? And this is the jobless claims report. So, you know, this number in here, 231,000 that we saw today, that's, I think, a 3-month high. You know, in terms of other data that we had, housing and import-export. I mean, inflation's cooling off. We talked about PPI. So, you know, overall, the cooler economy is a better economy right now. Is that how we should be looking at it?
Yes, it's the most important number on that chart that you just showed to me was the 32,000 continuing claims number increase. So what that's saying is that if you are out of work, it's taking you longer to find replacement work. So you're unemployed longer. Now there's still 1.5 job openings for every unemployed person, but it's getting slow. It's getting a smaller and smaller number. So while that's bad if you're the person who is unemployed, that actually means that the economy is cooling, and the push for higher wages and a tight job market means that they don't have to raise prices and inflation doesn't stay as high. So it's sort of counter. You're like, if you're the one who loses their job, it's terrible, but overall for the economy, it means it's not going to run as hot. And so that means that things can settle down with interest rates and other things.
Yeah, we get in these good news is bad news environments sometimes, at least, you know, the way it's, and you have to interpret it, but we needed to get rid of some of this inflation. It is cooling off a bit. A couple of other stories to ask you about today. We've been following, of course, the strikes, the UAW, and this GM vote was interesting because sometimes it's just a formality, but it was close. They voted to ratify the contract, but it ended up being a close vote. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was just a little bit more than 50% is what the way it seemed to go. Normally, you get a much higher percentage, but if you look into this, what you find is that the longest term workers, the ones that have been there the longest, that maybe went through the 2009 financial crisis when GM went bankrupt, they gave up a lot in concessions back then, and they really didn't win a lot of that back in these most recent union updates. More of the newer workers were getting most of the increases. So I think they would have liked more, and they just didn't get it. So, but that's negotiating, and for whatever reason, they weren't counted in as much as some of the newer workers were. They couldn't get that deal through. But that's, I think, where a lot of this is coming from, the longer term workers that said, hey, we stuck through this. You know, you didn't really take care of us. So they're not very happy about it.
We have joked sometimes that at one point we'll be able to buy everything on Amazon. Well, it turns out Hyundai today says that they're going to start selling cars on Amazon next year. So should we buy a car on Amazon? I mean, what a world.
You know, and this is just the first one that they're going to start selling. Their goal, Amazon, is to sell all cars on there or whatever they can. I think the key here that they sort of cracked the code with is that they're not selling them exclusively through the site. They're selling all of the preliminary. You can pick your options. You can do your financing, but the ultimate delivery is going to be done through the dealer. Now, a lot of states have a thing where you can't cut out the dealers, so that might have been part of it, but they figured it out, and that's what Bezos does. He figures stuff out. And so if they don't cut out the dealers, then there's a chance that this could very well be the thing where you buy your car, and then you're driving your car, and then it takes you to one of Amazon's medical facilities, and then then it sends you its prescriptions, and like everything else, they're taking over everything.
You might go home tonight, there'll be a car on your front lawn that somebody ordered on Amazon. But it's online stuff for cars. It makes, I mean, not that I do many company endorsements, but I sold my car in Carvana and it was fine. So I mean, I guess it's similar to that kind of thing. So and that worked without
yeah, used cars they've been able to do. The new cars were sticky, but it seems like they figured it out. And if it works, and people are used to looking, choosing options, and they're going to figure out a way to make money, but not cut out the dealers and the salespeople. And so I think that's where this might work really well.
All right, Doug, good to see you as always. Doug Flynn with us on that.